Hello, and welcome to the final lecture in the course 1 DV506 from Linneuniversitetet. Today the lecture will be in English, I should tell the remote listeners, and this will be the scenario for the next course as well. The course starting after Christmas, all the lectures will be given in this group of students and also in English. A bit about the exam. Have you all registered for the written exam? Anyone who hasn't registered? Because they have moved the deadline from January 4 to December 15, which was yesterday. So if you haven't registered yourself, you're in a bit of a problem. Then you should contact me and we should try to squeeze you in, but no promises. Anyway, it is Wednesday, January 13th, and most likely it will be between 8 and 1 o'clock in the afternoon. Exact time and place will be published 1 week in advance at this website. If you for some reason fail here or don't show up, you will have a second opportunity, February 6. It's a Saturday. And you will have a third opportunity in the beginning of the summer break in June. And if you fail in the third exam, you will have to wait until next year and restart the course. But you shouldn't do that. You should fix it already in January 13. Also, bring a valid ID to the written exam. They will actually identify you to make sure that it's you and not your gifted sister who is there solving all the problems for you. So bring a valid ID. Of course, the topic for today is the test exam. Did you see the exam that I was handing out a few weeks ago? Was it difficult? Not particularly? Good. The next semester, I guess most of you will continue to take the course 1 DV507. We are just continuing this course. It's called Programming and Data Structure. It starts in January 18. The Moodle for this course will open about 1 week ahead of the course starts. But in general, the setup will be exactly the same as we have it now. I will be teacher in almost every lecture. We have invited Tobias Andersson Gidlund to give 2 lectures related to GUI programming, graphical user interfaces. I'm not very good at it, and he is very good at it, so that's the reason why we have invited him. Also, after you have completed the second Java course, we consider you as Java programmers. From this point on, you will not learn that many new features in Java. You will apply Java in many different domains, in networking and databases and things like this. But after the second course, basically you have seen most of the constructs in Java. You should know how to do a Java program. Let's jump to the first exercise. Oops, wrong mouse. Write the complete Java program, print positive, that reads a fixed number of integers and then prints the ones that are positive. An example of an execution might look something like this. We are running the program, it stops here, you are handing in the number 5, and then it reads 5 numbers and you are printing the positive ones. This is a typical first exercise in this course. Write the complete program in Java. One of the major things in this written exam is, well, this course is about Java programming, so we will check that you know a bit of Java programming. Many students are complaining it feels ridiculous to write a paper using paper and pen, and I agree. Why do we have a written exam in such a practical course as this one?
To prevent other people from writing your exercises.
From? Okay, yeah. The main idea is that the assignments are the most important part in this course, but we are not guaranteed that you are the one solving all the problems. So at one point in the course, we need to make sure in a controlled environment that it's you and only you who is answering the questions. So that's why we have a written exam in a course that is all about programming. And also it will be 5 exercises, and I say half of them are directly related to programming. The idea is that it should be very difficult to pass this course if you don't know anything about Java. Just reading and memorizing the slides should not be sufficient to pass the course. You should have done your exercises and your assignments, and if you have done your assignments, I think this written exam should be rather straightforward. Anyway, do you understand the problem? Read a number of integers and then print the positive ones. First of all, we are asking you for a complete Java program. It should look something like this. I know that most of you are probably using Eclipse to generate this part automatically all the time, but spend a few minutes memorizing this particular string here. All Java programs must include public static void main. So every year we have a few students who don't remember this line here. They have generated it all the time. So just memorize this, guys. Remember that if you're using any classes in here that requires an import statement, you should have it up here. Also, initial IDs. We should read values from the keyboard. That means we had to set up a scanner. So this is one thing that we need to include in our program. A fixed number of integers. A fixed number, we know the number of integers to be stored, then I think we should use an array. If we didn't use an array, what would we use then? Array list. If you know the number of values to be stored in a data structure, you take the array. If you don't know in advance, you take an array list. That's the basic rule. So we will use an integer array to store the integer, so it will look something like this. Give a number of integers. We are asking the scanner to give me the next int, and then we set up the array like this. When we know at this point in the program, we know how many numbers that will be handed in later on. So we are creating one integer array to store all the values. And the basic idea in my solution was to first read all the values, store them in here, and then print. Just go through this array and print those that are positive out of them. So I think this is a rather straightforward exercise. It's the main method I'm showing here. We are setting up a scanner, connecting it to the keyboard. We are asking the user to provide a number of integers to be read. We are constructing the array here. And then for each position in the array, we are asking the user, give me number 1, give me number 2, and so forth. And we are reading it and inserting it into a certain position in the array. So when we are reaching this point, we should have this many integers stored in this array, and then we are just iterating over it and checking if it is positive, then we are printing it like this. Any questions?
During the exam, maybe we will forget some brackets.
Yeah, we are of course aware that you are used to using Eclipse that will point out and help you with this thing. So if you have missed one semicolon over here, we will not kill you for that reason. However, if you start to have missed all the semicolons and all the brackets, then we start to think that this is not, it doesn't look like Java any longer. It should look like Java. Tiny details is not a problem.
I was thinking about those when you haven't got brackets on the if statement.
Yeah. What was the rule? If you don't have any bracket, it is the following statement that is included in the if statement. But if you are not sure about it, always include curly brackets. It's perfectly fine. The second exercise, write the method reverse that creates and returns a new array of integers where all elements in the input argument are presented in reverse order. The array R should be left unchanged. That's the first part. It gives you 6 points. Describe the differences between an array and an array list. This is, of course, not the programming exercise. We should return an integer, so we must have a return value which is an integer. We shouldn't change the input parameter. That means we are making a copy of it here. And this is the one that we will add our new values to, and this is the one that we will return later on. And we are iterating over all elements, and this means that we are picking them out in reverse order. So in the first iteration, I equals 0, this one will be size minus 1, that is the final element. And the larger I gets, the smaller this one. And in the final position, what is the final position is size minus 1. So then we will have size minus 1 minus size minus 1, and it will be the 0 position. Yeah. So we are picking them out in reverse order here, and we are inserting them in the first position, in the second position, and so forth. And this is the one that we are returning. Any questions? Yes?
We can use our own way.
You can use your own way, yeah. As long as it's return a new array with the elements in reverse order. Yeah. Yeah. Even if you present, for example, for the first exercise, the one where we should put in the positives, if you present a solution that is working, but it is awful, rather than my 10 lines of code, you have 50 lines of code and you do many strange things, but in the end it might work, then we will actually remove a few points. Rather than having 10 points for that exercise, you will get 8, because we think it's a working solution, but it's an ugly solution. Sometimes we take a look at the artistic part of it and we say that no, it works, but it doesn't look good at all. And then we remove a few points. Functionality is the most important part, but also the way it looks is to some extent important. Compare array and array list. Well, in this case, I just started by giving a number of properties of an array, and then I gave the corresponding properties for an array list. But both are sequential data structure indexed with integers 0 or larger. An array is not a class from the Java library. It is a construct that is a part of the Java language. It belongs to the Java language, not to the library. They are a specific type of objects not belonging to any class. We are creating them for any type X using this construct. It can be a primitive type or it can be an object type. It has a fixed size once it has been constructed. We cannot increase the size of it. Once we have constructed an array, they are 10 or 15 or whatever we decide them to be. And you can access the elements using the square operator. I wrote down a few facts about the array here, and the corresponding facts for the array list is down here. It is a class in the Java library. It belongs to the Java util package. It has a flexible size. The more elements you are adding, the longer it will increase its size. It is array-based, hence the name array, with arrays replaced by larger ones when needed. An array list is accessed using the methods get, set, add, and remove. We have a raw version that can store any type of objects, and we have a generic version that only can store one type of objects. Yeah, think about an array list and then you write down all that comes up in your mind. And of course you should try to compare it in some way. Corresponding properties from an array should be found down here. It is a fixed size, it is a flexible size, and things like this. Point out the differences. Any questions? Third exercise. Java includes 5 different control statements, 3 iterations, and 2 selections. What are their names and how do they work? Show how they can be used by providing short examples. Can you please name 3 iteration statements? They have the same name in English as in Swedish. Okay. Anyone else? How about you? And then when we had the while in the end, it was called do while. You can have one version where it starts with a do and ends with a while. It will always enter the loop body once. And then you decide whether you should continue to repeat it. I pointed out that the 2 most important ones are the for statement and the while statement. You can solve all problems using these 2 statements. 2 selection statements. Anyone volunteering? If is the simple one. And switch. Have you used the switch statement or always using the if? If is the key, the most important one. You can solve all problems using the if statement, but sometimes it might look shorter and nicer if you're using switch. I also mentioned a 3rd selective statement. It was a bit strange one. Question mark colon. But I didn't count it as a control statement when I was putting together this exam. But, I will show. So, 3a, 3 iterative statements. We have the for statement, a fixed number of iterations. I'm showing here to add the numbers from 1 to 100. While statement, 0 or more iterations. 0 since we might, if this one is false when we are first reaching this statement, we will skip it altogether. And once again, here I'm solving the problem, find the smallest n such that this sum is larger than 100. It's the simplest possible problem using a while statement. And I solved the same problem here using a do statement. It starts with do. We always enter the loop body once, and then we decide whether we should go up or down. Remember that this is the only control statement that should be ended with a semicolon. I forget it all the time. For some reason, the Java designers decided that in contrast to all the other statements that just has a starting bracket and an end bracket, this one should end with a semicolon. We will not remove that many points from you if you forgot this one. So these were the 3 iterative statements. The 2 selective statements, if n is larger than 0, print positive, less than 0, negative, else print 0. Switch casement, if n equals to 1, print 1, equals 2, neither 1 nor 2. Just show a simple example showing that you know how to use this statement. In this case, we would be surprised and we wouldn't appreciate it if you put down a very complicated example. You shouldn't impress us in this way. We will correct 150 written exams, so short and to the point solutions are appreciated from our point of view. Second part, exercise 3b. What will be printed in the 2 cases below? Motivate your answers. Well, what will be printed in the first one? This one is what? True or false? True? Always true. Is this one true? What? No, this one is not true. So this one will not be printed, but this one will be printed. I have tried to trick you here by indenting this line here, but it was the question one of you had here. This line here belongs to the if statement. This is just this. It do not belong to the if statement. So Since this one is true and this one is false, this one's false, making we are not printing this one, but we are entering the if statement here. We will print this one, and we will of course print this one. So 2 and 3 is printed. Okay, what is printed here?
In 2 or in 1?
What?
In 2 or in 1? Which question?
This one, case 2. What possible values will num take inside the while statement? Num will take the values. It will take 0, 3, 6, 9, and so forth. And then we are checking in here. If it is, what are we checking here? If it is an even number, then we should print it. So 3, 6, 9, 12, it is only these guys that will be printed. What about this one?
I think it will be printed.
It will be printed as well. Yeah. So, as a motivation, I said here, this one is true and this one is false. That means we are entering the first but not the second if statement. Hence 2 and 3 will be printed. Motivation, num values inside while statement is these guys. Out of these values we print the even ones. Something like this. You don't have to describe every iteration here. Just motivate it in some understandable way and we will accept it. This one, if I remember it correctly, the students didn't like this question. How do objects communicate with each other when an application is executed? Which preconditions must be fulfilled for the communication to take place? Any ideas? How do two objects communicate? If you're executing one object and you would like to do something with another object, how do you interact?
Import.
What?
Import the object first.
During execution, no.
Yeah, okay.
You make a call to it, or you can do one other thing. You can access its fields. If the fields are public, you can access the fields. So objects at runtime, they are communicating by method calls and field accesses. And the precondition for this to be possible is that the object that would like to communicate with another, it must hold a reference to the other one. Otherwise, it cannot call an object if you don't have a reference to it. So the answer here is objects are communicating using method calls and field accesses. In order for object A to communicate with object B, A must hold a reference to B. Furthermore, the used B member method or field must be visible for A. Makes sense when you see it at least. What happens when a method is called depending on the type of argument sent to the method? What are the differences depending on whether the arguments are objects or primitive types? I showed an example during one of our lectures related to this one. I think I have it here. Do you remember this example? Add 2. We are sending away a number 5 up to this one, and we are increasing n, and then we are printing a here. And then we are creating an array. We are giving away the array to add 1. It iterates over all the elements and updates each position by the size of 1. And then it prints the second element. What was the principal difference between this call and this call?
When the pointer was the array, then it copies the address of the array, so actually you can make the changes to that.
Yeah.
But you just get an integer, then you're just copying the value of the integer to the another line.
Yeah. Yeah. We called it call by value in one case and call by reference in the other case. When you are making a method call involving a primitive type, the receiving method receives a copy of this value. Here we are giving away 5. This variable will be given the value 5, and whatever we do inside the method here will not affect what's going on in here. In this case, we are constructing an array, and when we are making the call, we are sending the address of this array. So the receiving method here will receive the address to this particular array, and whatever changes occurs in here will affect, we will update this array. And when we continue our execution here, if I'm printing the second one, it will be the updated version of it that will be printed. Do you remember this example? Do you see the difference between the two cases? Primitive types receive a copy, object types receive an address. That's the important thing. And the address, when we are executing this line of code here, R is pointing to this array, but also this variable is pointing to this array. So they are both we have two parts in our program that at one time both are referencing this object, and if one makes a change of it, the other one will be affected of it. I try to write it down here. Java treats arguments a bit differently depending on whether it is a primitive type or reference type. Primitive type arguments, the method receives a copy of the argument. Changes inside the method has no effect. Outside the method, it's called call by value. Reference types, the method receives an address to the same object that was used in the call. Changes inside the method will affect all parts of the program holding a reference to the changed object. This is called call by reference. And in situations, did I write it down here? That many active parts of a program holds a reference to the same object is called aliasing. We have different parts of the program, and they are all holding a reference to a given object. And if we have this situation, if one part of the program is updating the object, everyone else will be affected by this change. And the final question. Create a class temperature. It should be able to use temperatures given in degrees Celsius, Fahrenheit, and Kelvin, and the relation between the temperatures are like this. You can compute the Fahrenheit in terms of Celsius like this, and the Celsius degrees in terms of the Kelvin temperatures like this. The following method should be implemented. Set Celsius, get Celsius is less than a toString. That means we should create a class temp. It should represent a temperature. How should we store it? What fields should we use? How do we represent it? As I see it, we have two options. We can always maintain the Kelvin, the Fahrenheit, and the Celsius. We store all three versions of it. And when we then are asking, give me the Celsius version of it, it's easy. We are just returning the Celsius version. What is the problem with this approach? Yeah, basically we have a redundancy here. They are all three describing the same temperature. So if we are updating one of them, we must recompute the other ones. So my preferred approach is to store just one of them. We are deciding that we should store them, and since I studied physics when I was younger, I prefer to use it in Kelvin. Why is Kelvin a suitable choice? What is a realistic Kelvin value and what is a non-realistic Kelvin value? negative numbers in Kelvin is not possible. The physics stops it. So I decided to use Kelvin as my only field here. And every time someone is asking, give me the Fahrenheit, I am using these two formulas to convert it to Kelvin, and then I return the Kelvin value. And if they are adding, changing the temperature in Fahrenheit, I'm using these two formulas to compute the corresponding Kelvin value, and then I store the Kelvin values. But you could have done it with 3 fields. I think it's a more risky approach to do it like this, because we have redundant information and we need to maintain it all the time that they are referring to the same temperature. Or you could take just one field and do computations all the time. So I decided that the temperature we are only storing the temperature in Kelvin. It makes sense to have a double here, I think. And then I had a number of private methods here that are converting from Celsius to Fahrenheit, Kelvin to Celsius, all different combinations here. I computed them based on the previous formulas. So I have here all possible converting from one temperature to another temperature are down here. And then we have the set Celsius method. You are submitting here a double value which responds to a Celsius value. I am using the Celsius to Kelvin first. So here I am converting it from Celsius to Kelvin in one computation, and then I'm using the set Kelvin method because this one is responsible for the checking the encapsulation. Did you understand what I was doing? So, set Fahrenheit. I convert it from Fahrenheit to Kelvin. Then I call the set Kelvin method that checks that it's realistic. And set Kelvin, of course, is directly to this method. Did you understand the idea here? Yeah. So, a bit of work here to prepare these guys over here, but once we have them up and running, these ones are straightforward to implement. Return temperature. If they are asking for the Kelvin temperature, I'm just returning the field value. Otherwise, I had to convert it to Celsius before I'm returning it. I have to convert it to Fahrenheit before I'm returning it using my short formulas. Comparing two temperatures, it's a Boolean result, and we are comparing our temperature with this temperature, and we are just checking, comparing their Kelvin values like this. To string, here I present the Kelvin value, the Celsius value, and the Fahrenheit value, and I return this one like this. Make sense? Was it difficult? I can tell the remote students that it's dead quiet in here.
Maybe the exam will be different.
The exam will be different, I can tell you, but it will be something like this. It's very seldom that we hand out the same exams all the time. A few advices. Read the entire exercise carefully. I point out entire here. Sometimes we have a bit of text and then we give an example, and then we have a bit more text down here. We often have students that haven't seen this text. It might say, you are not allowed to use any classes from the class library, but you're okay to use the array. And the student are solving the problem using an array list, for example. So read the entire exercise. Answer our questions. I said earlier on that we will correct 150 exams. if you start to write long essays about something not related to the question, we will not appreciate it, and we will probably not give you full points for it either. So be short and concrete. If you don't understand the question, ask visiting teacher. This is not correct. It used to be Olga or Werner. This is from last year. I will visit the written exam. In Växjö, I should say. I will visit the written exam, and if you are in doubt about understanding a question, ask me, and I will try to sort it out. Still in doubt and no teacher? Explain your problem. I don't know whether I should do this or that. I think this one makes more sense, so I focus on this one, and then you continue with this one. Yeah, do it properly. You have 5 hours. And there are almost never a student spending all 5 hours on the written exam. Usually the students are done in 2 or 3 hours. So you have plenty of time. Do it properly. When it comes to the programming exercises, I suggest that you first make a sketch. You try to figure out how to solve the problem, and then you put away this paper and write it down properly once. So you have spent, what is it, 3 months for this course. Why should you go at 9 o'clock? Why should you go early just to save 1 hour? So relax and do it properly. Anything else? I will go abroad this Christmas. I will occasionally read my mail, but not every day. So if you for some reason would like to get in contact with me, be prepared for a few days delay. Did you see the message that I was posting in Moodle last evening? We will take a Christmas break. So first of all, the lectures, our initial plan was to have a tutoring session, what is it, Tuesday and Wednesday. We have cancelled these ones. So it will be no more, next week it will not be any tutoring session at all. And also we decided that the teaching assistants should have a break as well. So I have told them that they don't need to look into the chat forum every day during the Christmas. I think I said that between December 21 and January 4, it is officially a Christmas break for the teaching assistants. So if you run into trouble with your programming during the Christmas Eve, don't expect the teaching assistants to reply within a few hours.
But when do they start again?
Yeah? Any other questions? Okay, Merry Christmas, I think I had it here. And good luck on the written exam. See you.